everybody. I'm Priscilla Croswell Grew. My grandmother, Lucy Croswell, was born in 1866, so she has the same birthday as the Croswell Opera House. Lucy was the daughter of Governor Charles Croswell. In 1866, right after the Civil War ended, the Adrian Union Hall was completed, and that has become the Croswell Opera House. In Adrian, Charlie was mentored by the noted attorney Thomas Cooley, taught himself the law by reading law books, and rose to become a state senator and eventually governor of the state of Michigan. His life is an inspiring story, starting from nothing and then conducting a life of public service. On behalf of the Croswell family, I would like to thank all of you in Michigan who for generations have preserved and treasured the Croswell Opera House and also the Croswell House, which Charlie built with his uncle in the 1840s. Thank you for joining this special tour celebrating the 155th birthday of the Croswell Opera House.
Oh, hi. I'm John MacNaughton, and
I'm Stephen Kiersey.
And we've been asked to give a tour or talk about some of the history of the Croswell since we've been involved here for so long. Steve, I think, is actually older than I am.
Yes. My first show was in 1968. I think it was 68 or 69, Gypsy.
And then mine was Tom Sawyer, 1969. I
Okay.
played Huckleberry Finn.
And we've been involved in the Croswell all that time.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the 155 years of the Croswell,
right.
Even though we've only been involved in about, 50 years of the Croswell? 40 something.
Only 50.
Only 50 years.
Yeah.
But originally, where we're standing was not enclosed. This was originally the entrance was just an alleyway that went up to the doors there where the front door of the Croswell was in 1866.
Right.
And it remained an open alleyway. There were buildings on either side, but it remained an open alleyway until 1921.
So Steve mentioned there were two different buildings that weren't part of the Croswell on either side, which in the 70s the Croswell was able to acquire the buildings. And on the left, that became mainly the box office.
Art gallery.
Yeah, a little art gallery, which it still serves as. It's still a box office and art gallery, just very different configuration.
Much more open and easier access.
Yes,
to.
yes.
Yeah.
And then over on this side was the
Heritage Room.
The Heritage Room, right, which is now Farver's, beautiful place.
So you used to come up where this window is where the stairway, you went down the steps into this room.
Yep. And you could get, the concessions were down there. There was a little kitchen counter and you could buy a Coke or whatever.
And restrooms. There were also extra restrooms.
Right. And the space was used for rehearsals quite a bit. When we just needed extra space to rehearse.
But it was primarily used as people could come in here during intermission of a show and have their snack and
just
relax.
A little gathering place, right.
But now it's a fully functioning bar.
Yeah, and so open and
Yeah.
And now they do cabaret here.
Comedy nights.
Comedy night.
We've had play readings.
Yeah.
Well, let's go up and look at the lobby.
Yeah, okay. This lobby changed a lot. Coming into the lobby, the original lobby actually was
started right here.
Yeah, this was the front of the Croswell right here. You went down the long alleyway.
Up 3 or 4 steps into the doors, and here we are.
Into this little space here. And the lobby is actually, I think, pretty grand looking now.
Yeah. But the nicest renovation here is the elevator.
Yeah.
We now have an elevator that can take patrons upstairs to the rehearsal studio, the studio theater, the balcony. It's a great addition to have this, and it's fun to ride. I like to ride in it every once in a while myself.
Not too many elevators in Adrian, I think. Right.
And this was, in the movie years, this was the concession stand
Right.
for the movies. So when you came in to watch a movie, you'd come here to get your popcorn and your
I
candy.
guess before it was a concession stand, it was the general manager's office.
I guess I could have been. I'm not sure, but I remember it as a concession stand for the movies.
Right.
And then it became a production area, a production room.
The tech booth where the light board,
yes.
the sound board
Right.
were, and there was a big window in that wall so
Right.
the techs could see
Right.
the stage.
Right.
Right.
And now it's been converted back to a concession stand. So
Right.
the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Right.
Well, let's go and take a look in the
Yeah, yeah.
inside the theater, in the
Okay.
auditorium.
So, Sabria, did you know that in 1876, the Croswell for 1 week was a roller rink? Mm-hmm. It was.
And it only cost 25 cents. 25 cents for skates and admission.
Really? How
Yeah.
much does it cost now?
About $10, if not more.
From what I understand, it was H.J. Fenton who did this. And he decorated it all up, and he came in with his roller skates, and he was very proficient in roller skating. And he brought his two nieces. What were their names?
Minnie and Fanny.
There we go. There we go. And Minnie and Fanny were really good too. I heard they had won some awards and things like that. So I don't know if I could really see it happening, but and this was before the floor was the house was raked. Yeah. So and you know, it's sort of interesting because many years later, like about a year and a half ago, I happened to choreograph a show here. And it was the Andrew Lloyd Webber music. And we did one of the numbers from Starlight Express, which is all roller skating.
Yeah.
So actually, years later, roller skating came back to the Croswell.
Look at that.
I love it. I love it. So there you go. But yes, it's great to be back in the theater.
Very much so. Very comfortable space.
I can feel the ghosts of all those roller skaters in here right now.
Yeah, so this balcony right now, with the way it looks now, is not how it looked.
No.
Right.
The original balcony was a horseshoe-shaped balcony. It extended from both sides of the proscenium arch all the way around to the other side.
Right.
And the seats were like pews.
Like wooden benches,
Wooden
yeah.
benches with
Yeah.
straight backs. When you sit up here and you look out at the Croswell, this is what it looked like in 1921 when they spent 10 weeks that summer
That's amazing.
renovating the building to its current shape.
Okay.
Took out the horseshoe balcony, created this balcony, added the structures for the organ pipes, and did all that. And all this plaster work was done then too.
And also, I'm getting my renovations, but we just did this big renovation that we should go
Right.
take a look at.
Oh.
Back this way.
All right, very good.
Yeah, I remember the matinees here.
Yeah, I remember coming here when I was, 6th, 7th, 8th grade to the Saturday matinees.
Yeah.
Balcony would be loaded with kids, screaming, shouting, throwing
Yeah.
popcorn. It was great times.
And you could keep seeing
Yes.
the movie. That's I love
Yes,
that too.
yeah.
Right. You didn't have to.
2 or 3 movies,
Right.
cartoons. It was great
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Now, this was just a door. This was a solid wall, everything. And then in here was a storage space, but you say it
This was the original manager's office, and it was the manager's office for forever. But if we
now-
step out here, we're in space now.
Yeah. This was air
Yeah.
until the renovation.
Yeah.
And all the way through. I mean, we're right above the entryway.
The alleyway. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so now we have the studio theater. So let's go in and take a look at the studio.
Yeah,
Why
see
not?
what's going on? Yeah, so right now where I'm standing was air,
Absolutely.
and then right behind you it was the rehearsal room.
Yeah. This is the room above the heritage room
Right.
downstairs.
It was just half the width of this room.
Yeah. It was a long, narrow room.
Yeah. Long, skinny room. I remember being very hot
Yes.
crowded full of people working.
The crank windows we had to, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Because originally it had been a doctor's office or a dentist's office upstairs here.
Right, that's right. And it had the little kitchen counter with
Yes.
gas jet. Was he a dentist?
I think he was a dentist.
Yeah,
But, it did have mirrors along the walls so that, you know, we could have dance rehearsals, but of course there wasn't much height, so the poor dancers couldn't do lifts or much of that.
Yeah. And the entry was at that end.
Came up from the Heritage Room.
Right. You came up the stairs and then you'd sneak in the middle of rehearsal and always disrupt everything.
Yeah.
So,
But it was a great improvement, and then 1977, I want to say, is when this room was created. And now, with the renovation, we now have this large rehearsal room with a space that equals the space of the stage downstairs.
Right, width and depth.
Width and depth.
Yep.
Much higher. We still have the mirrors.
Yep.
The floor.
This room gets used for all kinds of events now, more than just rehearsals.
Right.
Its primary use is still rehearsals, but they do weddings.
We've done plays in here, receptions, parties.
Yeah, all kinds of things.
There is a kitchenette back here,
Yeah.
so there can be catering. So it's really a wonderful multi-purpose room. It's a great addition.
Yeah.
We thought it was great in the 1970s when they built the rehearsal room. This one is even better.
It was summer of 2018. We were doing Barnum, and I remember because we were blocked on these like 2.5-foot pedestals, and so I was a lot higher than everyone else on stage, and I was looking out towards the mezzanine level, and I saw Herbie just flapping around, and the only reason why I was worried the whole time was because I was so much higher than everyone else, and I was like, if this bat comes towards the stage, I'm the one he's going for.
Yeah.
I had heard the story about during producers that he was very active, whether it was Herbie or one of his kinfolk or whatever. But and I think Steve Antlich was playing the lead, and he was doing that big number at the end, Betrayed or whatever. And I think it picked that time to like dive bomb him or whatever. And I wasn't there, but there was somebody we were talking to. It must have been after Matilda, and the guy said, "I was there that night." And he goes, I can't believe how well you kept your composure. You just kept going.
Have y'all heard about the story about Leo the Lion? I think that's the name. Leo the Lion.
Leo the Lion? The MGM?
Yeah, the MGM. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the Croswell, for some reason, brought that lion here in the 1920s, and they wanted to hear the lion do the roar. But instead of the roar, the lion yawned. So let's say, for some reason, today, Jerry just decided, you know what, let's bring a lion. Leo might still be alive, you know, who knows.
Or one of the kinfolk.
Exactly, like Herbie,
like
right?
Herbie, yeah.
So let's say Leo was here. Jerry said, you know what, guys? Me being Jerry Ryder, let's just invite that lion here one good time. How would you react?
I might have to miss that event.
Yeah, so this is what it's all about here, the auditorium, the stage, and, you know, for actors, for those of us, the ghost light. It's a big tradition in the theater history. It's a safety light to keep people from walking into the pit, but they also say it also keeps the ghosts quiet at night. And the tradition is, at the end of a show, when you close the show down, the last thing, the stage manager turns on the ghost light and leaves an empty building. And then the light stays on until the next show comes up, which this light has been on now for
a long time.
A year.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. Just waiting for the next show. So this back wall has become sort of a history of its own of the Croswell. You can see posters from past seasons and pieces of scenery from past shows. Over here's the fly system, which most people probably know, but the way that scenery flies in and out so quickly. And we thought we'd lower the main just so you could sort of get a sense of, it's really easy. One person can just grab the rope and pull, and in comes the curtain. So I think a really important part of any theater, which an audience never sees, is what goes on in the underneath the stage, in the dressing rooms.
Which is where we are right now.
Right, we're here in the women's chorus dressing room, and right next door is the men's chorus dressing room. You'll see they'll jam 20 people in there, and they're all madly changing clothes.
It's completely empty now, just waiting again for us to come back to production life again.
Yes.
And then we come down here through the tunnel.
Yeah. When I'm down here, I think about how much life is going on down here.
Yes.
My life is going on.
Absolutely.
It's very rich with memories in here.
And then we come in, now we're completely under the stage, and we have the star dressing rooms here.
Right.
And
more dressing rooms.
More dressing rooms.
This originally, let's see, originally the thing ended here. The whole building ended with this door.
Exactly.
And when we were kids, this was,
these
were like stalls.
Six, I'm thinking 6, maybe 8 stalls. That's all they were stalls that you changed
everybody,
in.
and it was still 30 people.
Yeah.
And over here we have the orchestra pit, which
has undergone many iterations in the 155 years, but this is what it looks like today. Let's go down and see the old catacombs.
Yeah. This all used to be dirt floor, and this was filled floor to ceiling with costumes.
And I had to duck.
Which have mostly been stored in other places now. You see some costumes, but there are thousands and thousands and thousands of costumes.
But remember how they used to store furniture down here? It was the dirt floor.
Well, that was in here.
And we had to come down through the men's dressing room, or through the men's restroom,
right?
And get the furniture and haul it up and carry it up. But now this is just wonderful.
Yeah, now this is all this is where they build costumes. This is usually covered with sewing machines. Right now they've got an archive project going on here. And then in here, this was also jam-packed full of furniture.
Yes.
But now it's like this nice cutting board, all this fabric. I mean, it's a wonderful spot for the costumers now.
Nice and warm down here too.
Yeah.
And cool in the summer. But you can see some of the original basement walls here.
Yeah. And all these rafters. I mean,
these are all the original.
We're right under the seats right now. This is right where...
You can actually see the slope in the floor.
Right.
In January of 1877, a man named George F. Avery, I'm thankful for the middle initial, came to town promising to walk 50 miles in one day without ever leaving the Opera House.
What does it take to become a professional walker?
I don't know. What is it? I don't know.
It's gotta be a
I also
class.
am curious how you would decide that I want to do it
Do you
indoors.
think there's leagues?
Maybe. Maybe there's leagues. Maybe it was a challenge. I don't know. Beginning at 1 o'clock on January 15th, not an early riser.
No.
He stopped only for a brief supper, thankfully not dinner, at 6 and finished his walk in just over 9 hours. Okay, so 1,000, can you do the math? 1,000 laps in 9 hours, what's his pace?
I'm back to you. I would have started in the morning.
Well, right. I mean, nobody's fresh at 1 p.m.
No.
And quite a few people actually showed up and celebrated this walker as he made his circuits.
I mean,
I didn't even know to call them circuits. I would have called them laps, perhaps.
How exciting.
How exciting
to watch him walk around you.
But like any story, there's a bummer to it, Jeff.
Uh-oh.
The proceeds from the admission were not enough to cover the rent that Avery had paid for the Croswell.
I would like to know how much the tickets cost.
I don't know.
And who would pay that?
But like every movie, it ends on a high. Avery was not troubled by the fact that he had a loss on this deal because his sights were set high on a competition in Jackson 1 week later where he stood the chance to win not $100, not $200, but $500. Must have been a bigger auditorium.
And did we figure out how much $500 if he did win?
$13,000. So
$13,000 in today's.
There still isn't a $13,000 prize in Jackson, Michigan. So I don't know how in the world that was going to happen in 1877, but I don't know. But nobody might feel any smarter, but certainly you know a new story about the Croswell.
So we're up here now. This area is called the gallery. We're actually about 30 feet above the stage over on stage right. And this rail right here is called the pin rail because of the pins. And this is where they actually used to fly the scenery. And you can see the ropes would go up to the grid at the top there and across, and then the scenery comes up and down based on people standing here pulling ropes. And a lot of people, as you can see, like to sign their names when they were up here. There's a lot of, you can see, if you come up here and read graffiti, it goes back forever.
Yes, all the way
There's
back
one
to
over here, Kenneth Black, 1916. Yeah, yeah.
That was, yes, he was a stagehand here that night. That's the night that Mrs. Patrick Campbell was in Pygmalion here. And you can see the old, the remnants of old posters still
from the
clinging to the
vaudeville
wall.
days.
Yes.
September morn. McIntyre and Heath, Google them, you'll see they were very, very famous team. They traveled all over the country. All these groups did. They would, do one night, go to the next town, go to the next town. Yeah.
And
so cool.
So shall we go on the other side now?
Yeah, we'll go across the catwalk.
All right, we'll go across the catwalk. And here we go.
Yeah, so this is, you're up in the attic right now. This is the very top of the Croswell. We're right above the seats. And you can really see how old this is really where you get a sense of how old this building is with these massive beams that support the whole structure.
And here's this winch.
Oh yeah.
To lower the chandelier in the auditorium to clean them and change the light bulb.
When you need to change the bulbs, you just sit there and crank that winch. Takes about 10 minutes to get the thing down to the ground.
And you can see some of the original shale shingles from the original roof. And
then the other chandelier that hangs over the auditorium is on the other side, and whichever intern in the summer has fallen out of favor has to crawl across this ladder to get down to the winch on the other side. And then this takes us into the front of house light bay, which, so all these instruments here are used to light mostly the downstage area. That's about what they cover. And these were installed in the 70s, I want to say.
Yeah.
Made a big difference. It opened up a lot of options for us to be able to light shows. Oh, you know what in here I like, because it shows where there used to be windows in the building.
Yes, right here.
I mean, that was a window right here, because the building was built before electric lights, so that's how they lit the building. And if you walk in the alley around the building, you'll see where windows used to be, until electricity then became the way to light the stage. So if you've been in the balcony, you may have walked by this door many times and wondered what it was. Well, we're going to show you. It's the projection booth.
Here we are in the projection room, 1921.
And these, I don't know what year these projectors are from, but they are old carbon arc. There's two of them, because you had to have two projectors to run a movie. And carbon arc projectors, which were highly flammable, because film is highly flammable, and carbon makes an arc that's actual flame. So they had to have this, a metal door, to keep the fire from spreading to the building. And the poor projectionist, if a fire ever did break out.
So, and here's the portal for one, for the camera.
One. You can see where there were other portals that
cameras
have been covered over. Then this room got used as a follow spot booth for a long time. And now the follow spots are actually down in the balcony.
Wow.
Cool.
Well, that just about does conclude our tour of the
Yeah.
Croswell Opera House.
Yeah.
Hope you've enjoyed it. Got to see some things that you don't normally see.
Yeah, we've enjoyed it. We've had a
Yeah.
great time remembering all the past.
things that we've
Yeah.
in our 50-some years. Of
Our 50 years out of the
155 years.
Yeah.
So happy 155th birthday, Croswell Opera House.